Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's May 19th, 2022, and today what I thought I'd do is share with you some work that I've been doing on our northernmost swale that runs along the northern part of our property along Stony Robbie Road. So this is a satellite view of the property back taken in 1994. So I'm going to go through over time, where we are in here. So our house is right in this location here. Our workshop, barn area here. Back at this time, we still had, we hadn't had horses anymore. We actually had a wildlife center at this time, but previous to this, we had horse pasture here. Horse pasture back in here as well. So the soil was pretty darn good in this area and in this area. But all around here, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can move forward in the timeline here from the Google satellite images. So over here, I'm going to move over here. So this is one of the gravel beds. This is 2006. There's gravel beds in here now and all the way right up to our property. But here's the beaver pond back here. Here's the big beaver dam here, the second beaver dam there. Our property goes back like this. Hopefully that makes sense as I'm going through this. So what I'm going to do is go through time here. All around us, it's all gravel around our property here. So here we are. This was when they first started exploring this gravel site right here in 2006, and each year this has been expanded. That's still 2006. Now where is this? All right, now we're 2009, and so this is, we're going to zoom in on our property here. So this was where the horse pasture was, and horse pasture back here. Pond 1 is up in this area, which you'll be able to see in a moment. I'll actually put some graphics here on the screen. So this is Pond 1, which isn't on yet because this is back in 2011. Pond 2, it's still not here yet. Pond 3 is here. Pond 4 is here. Pond 5 is here. Pond 6 and Pond 7 aren't here yet. We're a year before we put the solar panels in back in this location here. So what I want to talk about today is this whole area here is all hugelkultur pits, and I made videos on that in the past, so please refer to those videos. So all that is quite simply all of the trees that we took out of this area, and I'll just go back a little bit in time. So all of these trees, there were lots of forested area that was dying off because of emerald ash boring insect, and it's just laden with poison ivy. Lots of popular trees in there as well. But what we ended up doing was taking those trees, digging huge trenches and burying them under the ground. And so this is all gravel. Not good place to start a food forest. So what we ended up doing, and I already had the blue spruces planted along the top of the property, along the road here at this time. And so the goal was to put some swales in that would save all of our trees. In other words, we wanted to avoid digging up and damaging any of the trees, because typically, since the slope of the property goes in this direction towards the southwest, you'd want to have your swale something like this, like going on contour, going down the slope, so you can capture and direct the water where you want it. But you see a slope like a swale like this one here is actually going right uphill almost. So this swale starts off shallow here as it drains. This swale here as it drains the driveway. It actually goes deeper and deeper and deeper, with maintaining a level base there, so that it can drain into Pond 2. This swale, this swale, this swale, and this swale has already been, it's done its function. It's helped to rebuild beautiful soil in this area, so these swales no longer exist. The swale that we're talking about today is this one here and this little curve here, and that's what we're going to talk about. When we dug this swale into the ground, in a second we can come ahead a little bit further here. So you can see there's a mound. It's hard to see, but there's actually a mound that there's trees planted in both sides, on the uphill side and the downhill side. This is all real heavy gravel in this area, and so what we wanted to do was do composting and wood chips in these areas here, build up soil over the hugelkultur pits down below, because we knew it would take years for the hugelkultur, for all the woody material to gradually break down. But with the mounds here, my thought was, well, we could gather the moisture and retain moisture on this side of the swale, put moisture into the swale, because they had little avenues where the water could move through. And then have the mound on the other side, so I'd have like 3 rows of trees going right down here. And that did work out pretty well, but I'm taking out this mound in this video. And I'll be taking out part of this mound as well, but we're maintaining 2 levels of swales. So this swale here maintains a nice level right until this point here, and this is a spillway draining this lower lower level swale into this swale system here. This swale system has a spillway going into this swale system, and this one drains into pond 2 down here at the base. But up here, our goal today is to remove this mound. So what ended up happening was Thea and I took a walk up to the area, and this is pond 1 right here, and we walked down the whole area. I'm going to speed this video up a little bit, and here's the mound. There's 2 mounds. The swale is in between right in here, and there's actually, the swale goes, well, I'm sorry that this is so jerky. You can see there's lots of problems with the blue spruces here. You can see all the brownish material in the center of the swale there. And the mound here is on this side of the swale, which is going to be taken out and put where we're walking right now. So in a few seconds, what we'll see, we'll be bringing E-line up here and removing that material. I'm pointing out some of the trees. The town just put in water lines going along the main front of the main roadway there, and fire hydrants. Those are the grapevines, Thea and I here. Now I'm going to get on Elon, and we'll come up here. So now we're driving down the area that Thea and I just walked on, and we're digging out the uphill side of the mound on bordering the swale. And I'm going to leave as many of the beneficial trees in this area, many nut trees. So we got some chestnuts there, and on the other side of the blue spruces next to the road, there's chestnuts, Chinese chestnuts on that side as well. So I'm taking out the mound. There's many honey locusts here, pecans, heart nuts, catawba trees. There's many bushy materials in here that have helped to build the soil. So one of the things that's gradually happened over time is swales can have many different functions. So in permaculture, we think about having swales put on contour. In other words, going level around a slope, so that as the water runs down the slope, it can be gathered into a swale. And then we have a spillway at the end of a swale, and we direct that swale into some key feature that we want. For example, we may want that the water draining into a pond, preferably high on the property, so we can use it for irrigation, or we can use that pond for water for our home. But the pond certainly can, the swales and the ponds and the canals can all help to provide many different functions. One of the things I learned over the years was that aside from just redirecting the water flow on the property and filling up ponds, one of the things I learned was the level of the water level in the ponds gradually got shallower and shallower as sediment filled into the base of the ponds. So sediment would work its way down every heavy downpour. So by having specific swale systems and canal systems that can purposely be placed before going into a bioremediation system or into a pond, we can, in essence, allow pacify that water in a canal that allows the suspended materials, instead of settling in a pond and decreasing the water level of that pond over the years, we can use that canal to capture the sediment and build more soil and use it in other places on our property to grow food. Now, as I'm digging here, just to the left of a flowering pear, which is not in flower at the time that I'm doing this, there is a spillway because we're coming to the end of the grapevines. So that's a flowering pear that I'm right up against, and that's the spillway there. So this base of this swale is being maintained at one level. Now the level will change in just a moment to a different level, so that the upper area, since the water, the slope of the property is from the northeast to the southwest, since this is going along the roadway, what we're doing in essence is changing the level of the swale so that this upper swale that we're just finishing right now drains across behind the grapevine trellis there, and drains to the swale on the other side of where we're at right now. Hard to see in this video because everything's moving quickly. But now the swale will become much shallower and it'll get deeper and deeper as I go backwards through this process. So what I'm doing is taking this material that from the mound that's on the uphill side, which is closest to the excavator, Elon, and this is a Takushi TB290 excavator with a diesel 4-foot grading bucket that has a tilting bucket on it. So you can see 2 hydraulic hoses that allow me to twist the bucket so I can maintain a level base to the swale and be able to angle the bucket to do different things. And the thumb of the bucket on the equipment allows me also to grab a hold of things like trees and bushes that I don't want there. So the material that's in, so here we are nice and shallow right in here, so we're going to maintain this at a new level. And this material here will be, all of the material coming out of the swale and from the upper mound that we're taking out is being used to fill in the void which sediment had been building up between the blue spruces and the swale. So this all worked pretty well. I'm going to go ahead, and because this can be very boring and a little bit nauseating here. So still working my way down, removing any unwanted trees or bushes that have gathered inside of the area here. You can see the swale depth is much shallower here, but the further we go backwards, you'll see that it gradually gets deeper because we want the base of the swale to be perfectly level, despite we're going uphill with the excavator now as we're backing up. And all of this material is being used to fill in the void. And what I'm going to do is, after I get done with Elon here, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit further here. And you can see the swale's getting deeper in this location as I go further backwards. There are vernal pools along the way, which are lower indentations. These lower indentations were created because of the hugelkultur pits below that are present down in this area. They allowed sediment to work down. So these swales drained into the hugelkultur pits down below, which helped to maintain more moisture all along in this area. So and I've had many videos I've created on swales, canals, ponds, bioremediation and all. These systems can all provide many different functions, and you can see here's a small vernal pool right here. So right below that area is a really large hugelkultur pit. The hugelkultur pit allows us to capture carbon instead of burning the woody material and sending it off into the carbon into the atmosphere. We're allowing that to enrich the soil beneath this whole area. So I'm going to spin ahead a little bit faster here now. And you can see all I'm doing is roughing out and filling in the big voids using the grading bucket here as I'm going backwards. So just still working my way back bit by bit, taking out the mound, cleaning out the base of the swale. If there's brush or trees that are in the swale that are volunteers that have grown up in there, I'm removing those at this time. Working my way backwards, bit by bit. I'm at the corner now where the swale makes a turn and it's going to go. And I just took out one of the honey locust trees that had reverted back to being a thorny honey locust. Every once in a while, our trees, our honey locusts, our thornless honey locusts, will revert back to being thorny. So now I've turned the corner here. The pond one is to our left. Just doing a lot of quick work right here, and it's time to finish this up and then go get the Hulk, the excavator, to help to smooth some more out. So I'm up here with the Hulk now. This is a Takushi TL12 V2 with a heavy-duty dirt bucket on it right now. And what I'm doing now is gradually working my way forward, trying to fill in the voids that Elon, with the excavating bucket, did not fill in all those voids well. And so one of the goals is to prevent water from filling in these voids and making this muddy longer. There's a little vernal pool on the left-hand side right now as I'm going along. I'm going to speed ahead here some. And I still have, our blue spruce is one of the things, the pitfalls of this system that I initially put in was that there was a higher moisture content as the soil built up in this area behind the blue spruces here. And that moisture allowed fungal organisms to infect the lower limbs of the blue spruce trees. So I'm just going to move ahead a little bit further here. You can see I'm just working my way back and forth, trying to fill in as many voids as possible. Avoiding the big rocks that I set there. But if you can appreciate, our ground below this whole area is all real bony gravel. And you can't see that in this situation after a result of having these swale systems in place here for quite some time. So I'm still working my way backwards bit by bit, smoothing out all the area. This will take a couple of times. I'll be coming back here with Elon, the excavator, to further level out the base of the swale system here and smooth out the area before we replant in here. On the other side, just on the road side of these blue spruces, are Chinese chestnut trees planted in there. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get all these areas here done. Thank God for having this heavy equipment that we can get all this work done and make relatively short work of it. Now, this would be a monumental task without having heavy equipment to do these things. Just doing a little dressing up, getting rid of some of the ruts from the rainy weather. So that's it for today's video, folks. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave any comments or questions below. And by all means, folks, stay safe and take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye now.